All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to keep the phones muted so there's no background noise. So we may, if I get through this, we may have some time for some questions. But welcome to the webinar, and the title of the webinar kind of sums up my goal for you today. I want to remind you of two things, right? That it's time. Okay, it's time to start producing the results that you want. Right? And it's also time to start assuming the life of your dreams. Okay, there's no need to wait around for someone else to do it. I'm going to give you the tools on the call here today that you can create. You can use these tools to create the exact life that you want to live. Okay, so I'm excited to share some things with you, but I love this slide. I mean, it's kind of an eerie slide when you look at it, like, ooh, it's time. But, what is it time for? When you think about it, we're only on this planet for a short time, a short period, relative to eternity and relative to what's come before us and what's going to come behind us. So we want to learn to maximize. We want to take advantage of the time that we're here and live it to the fullest. And I'm going to be sharing with you why that's possible for you and why you may not have always felt that you could have what you wanted and live the life of your dreams. And it's all about awareness. In my coaching programs and in everything I do, it's about creating awareness for people, understanding of why things are the way they are, and understanding of what to do to make things different. Okay, and when you have those two things, when you understand why things are the way they are and you understand what to do different, or you're in the process of learning it, your life opens up for you and it becomes one of power, possibility, and promise. Okay, so we're going to give some energy here to this concept of time, right? And it's time to transfer your dreams into reality. Okay? So dreams are of a spiritual nature. We can't grasp them and hold them on with our hand. Reality by definition is the physical form. Okay, so we're going to be talking about how to transform dreams into the physical form. Goals, again, that's in there's a spiritual nature to goals. You can't hold goals in your hand, but you can hold that job promotion or that increase in your bank account, that achievement. You can hold that in your hand. Okay. And you're thinking, where is thinking? Where are our thoughts? Okay, we're going to talk about how to transform the spiritual nature of thinking into tangible results. And again, it's all about awareness. And you're going to be, if you're like me, when you were exposed to this material at first, and wherever you're at in your journey to awareness and freedom, you're going to have doubts, but I'm going to teach you what to do with the doubts. We're going to learn what doubts are. Okay, so just approach the next hour with an open mind and just have your mind open to possibility. Okay, and experience the next hour from that mindset. Right, and I know I see some of you who are on the call are in part of my masterminds. I love this slide. Okay. You got to believe in yourself. And don't, those of you who've seen the slide before, don't blow past it. Okay? This is the key to having what you want. When you look at yourself in the mirror or in the reflection, you've got to see yourself the way you want to be. Okay, that's the first task in your journey. That's the first step. And when you accept this concept, you embody it, and you work on your self-image of who you believe yourself to be. You're on the pathway. So again, if you want something more out of life but aren't sure what it is, if you've tried to make changes in the past without success, if you have a goal but don't know how to achieve it, you're in the right spot. This is the start of what could be a journey for you. Okay? I got some good news for you. You can have what you want, and it's guaranteed. Now, Ed, and you're making a guarantee. Guarantee is a bold statement. But you can have it if you're willing to do exactly what we tell you to do. If you're willing to embody and just have faith that what I'm teaching and the concepts you're going to learn today can change your life, you can have what you want. But the problem that most people have is they won't do what successful people do. They think that they're different from the successful person. They think that they're somehow flawed or don't have the same skills that the person who has what you want has. Okay? But you got to do what they're doing. You got to follow. Success leaves clues. So we're gonna give you some of the clues here today. So here's the deal. The realization of the goal is not complicated. Okay? There's not a magic formula to it. It's real simple. It's simple as a law of cause and effect. Okay, and it's straightforward and consistent and reliable as 2 times 2 equals 4. Okay, so when I say 2 times 2 equals 4, that resonates with you, right? We know that to be true. That is programmed into our being that's how things are. Now, if I put up there on the slide that 2 times 2 equals 6, you would have picked that up. You'd have picked that up like a shiny object on with a sun shining on it. Okay, it would have stood out like a sore thumb because it's not what's programmed in, and we picked that up. Okay, but because it's down there on the slide, it says 2 times 2 is 4. Somehow we take that for granted. Okay, but I want you to take for granted that you can have what you want, and it's actually simple if you'll just follow the rules. So I'm going to introduce you to some of the rules today. Now, this is not a comprehensive webinar. It's not all that you need to experience or going to want to learn is going to be on this webinar, but it's going to introduce you to some concepts that will help you move forward. And I know I can see a couple of you on the line who are familiar with this work, and again, just approach it with an open mind. Those of you who are on the phone or are here that have never experienced this before, just set your doubts and limiting beliefs aside for the next hour. Just dream with me for a little bit and imagine what your life could be if what I'm saying is true. So a little bit about me. My name is Ed Wheeler. I'm a consultant with Proctor Gallagher Institute. I've been associated with them for about 7 years. But my journey goes back. I'm an older gentleman. I live here well, I'm not older. Why did I say that? That's interesting, isn't it? I have a lot of history. Okay, and I live just outside of Boulder, Colorado. It's middle of February, but it's 61 degrees today. It's absolutely beautiful today. I'm looking at the back range of the mountains, and I'm inspired by things that are great. Okay, so that's what I'm attracted to. And Bob Proctor and his partner Sandra Gallagher, who pictured with me, they fit the definition of greatness. I'm inspired by what these two human beings are doing, and I'm spreading the word, and my vision is to help people. So a little bit about me. I'm trained as a chiropractor. I have a lot of undergraduate and postgraduate education. I have degrees out the end of my business card. But I got those degrees because I wanted to help people. That's how I got involved as being a chiropractor. And I practiced for about 12 years, and I helped a lot of people. But I became not disenchanted. I just could not envision myself doing that for the rest of my life. So I ended up in the business world, and I owned and ran a construction company for almost 23 years, and we were very successful financially. I was applying a lot of the things that I'm going to be talking about today. I was doing them unconsciously, but nonetheless, I was applying them. But I was not fulfilled. Okay, what did not give me the opportunity to work with people and inspire individuals. Okay, it was a different experience for me. So I was able to extract myself from this, and I became partners with the Proctor Gallagher Institute, and I worked very closely with these two people on the screen, Mr. Bob Proctor and Sandra Gallagher. So I'm going to talk about Bob for a few minutes here. Now, this picture and this quote kind of sums him up. I consider him the master teacher. He's been studying the concepts and material that I'm going to be sharing with you today for over 50 years. And it's not just that he studied it. He's figured out why what he's doing works. And he knows what doesn't work. And he can tell you what doesn't work. But more than that, he can tell you what does work. Yeah, but you got to see yourself living in abundance, and you will attract it to yourself. And it works. It always works, and it works every time with every person. So it's not any different for anyone who's on this call. It's not any different for me than it is for my family members. It's not any different than Bob's not any different than me or you. It's just his level of awareness and his willingness to apply what he learned and follow the rules. Okay, if I get nothing into your head today other than that, I want you to know that. Okay, that you're not any different. We're all created in pure potential, pure perfection. Now we show up different with our results because of how we're programmed, and I'm going to talk about that today. The programming, what the programming is, and how it gets there, and what we do about it. All right. So let this R represent results, as I introduced a little bit more about Bob Proctor and his path and where this material came from that I'm teaching today. Let the R represent results. Okay, this H is happy, healthy, and wealthy. Okay, those are ways that we can measure our results. Are you happy? Are you healthy? Are you prosperous and wealthy? Now, Bob was not. When he became exposed to this material, he was not in any of those things. He described himself as always being sick. He wasn't really happy. He was earning $4,000 a year, and he was in debt. He owed $6,000. Okay, so he would have had to work for a year and a half just to pay off what he owed. So he was not meeting the standards of living a prosperous life. Okay, but someone handed him this book, Think and Grow Rich. And you may or may not have heard of this book. It's written by Napoleon Hill. And just by reading the book and changing some of the things he was doing, now understand, he didn't know what he was doing. He just was applying what he was learning, but he didn't really know. He wasn't aware of what he was doing specifically. He took his income from $4,000 a year to $175,000 in the first year. Major jump. That's a big change in results. Okay. Now he was making more money, but to hear him talk, he hadn't mastered the happy, healthy, and wealthy aspect of it. But he was able to start making more money, and what he did, the reason he did it is because he wrote his goal down on a gold card, and he just believed that what someone told him, if he wrote it down on a card and he looked at it every day and started thinking about what he wanted, he could attract it to his life. And his first goal was $25,000, to be in possession of $25,000, and he gave himself 10 years to do it. Okay, but he produced it in the first year. He earned $175,000. Okay, the second year he took that to $1 million, but he still didn't really understand what he was doing. He was highly financially successful, still struggling in other aspects of his life. But he continued to study. He read this book every day. He didn't read the whole book, but he would study an aspect of it. He'd pick a page out and he would just study it like a scientist. Okay? That's the concept of repetition that you're going to hear me talking about as we go through today. Right now, here's a concept I want to introduce before I get back to Bob. And this is Buckminster Fuller. This is a quote. Buckminster Fuller, for those of you who are not familiar with him, is a famous engineer. Okay, now, he's an engineer that's created changes within the engineering field. Okay, he's a professor and a applicant. He applies what he's discovered. He's a scientist. Okay, and he stated that you never change things by fighting the existing reality. To change something, you build a new model that makes the existing model obsolete. Okay, so the concept here is you don't necessarily wrestle with the way things are. If you're going to wrestle with something, you decide how you want things to be, and you create that model of how you want things to be, taking away the energy from the way things are. Because the way things are is just a product or manifestation of the thoughts you've been thinking. Okay, so back to Napoleon Hill. He met a gentleman named Andrew Carnegie in the fall of 1908. Now, Napoleon Hill wrote the books, Science of Getting Rich. Or Think and Grow Rich. I'm sorry, I got Bob's book mixed up with that. So, yeah, Think and Grow Rich. Now, Napoleon Hill met Andrew Carnegie. Now, at the time in 1908, Andrew Carnegie was the wealthiest man in the world. He was a billionaire, and he was a self-made billionaire. But Andrew Carnegie wanted people to know what he did, and he wanted to know what other successful people did. So he enrolled Napoleon Hill to write a book about it. And it wasn't that Carnegie told Napoleon Hill what he did. He gave him some clues, but what he did actually was he hooked him up with contacts of 500 of the most successful people of the time. And Napoleon Hill went and studied those people, and he studied them over a period of 20 years and came out with the book in 1937, Think and Grow Rich. Now here's the quote that Andrew Carnegie is most famous for from my perspective. Now think about this as I read it. Any idea that is held in the mind, that is emphasized, that is either feared or revered, will begin at once to clothe itself in the most convenient and appropriate form available. So the title of the book is Think and Grow Rich. Any idea, which is a collection of thoughts, right? Any idea that you hold in your mind that you either give energy to, that you focus on, that you keep there on the screen of your mind, whether you want it or not. So, if you're in the energy of worry, doubt, and fear, or in the energy of excitement and faith, you're going to create that. It'll begin to clothe itself in the most convenient and appropriate form available. It'll start showing up in your life as a partner. Okay? That becomes your results. Okay, so think about that in your life. What are you thinking about today? What are you focusing on? Are you doubting whether you can ever have the success you dream of, or are you assuming success? Are you assuming that what you want is going to happen, right? And you're focusing on that idea. That will tell you where you're headed. The answer to that question will tell you where you're headed. So again, he published this book in 1937. It was put together based on the information he acquired from interviewing over 500 of the most successful people of the time. Bob was given his copy on October 21st of 1961. All right, now here's the lineage. So we got Andrew Carnegie, Napoleon Hill. The next person is Earl Nightingale. Now, Earl studied Napoleon Hill's book and this information like a scientist. He's a little older than Bob, but he had started studying it, and he was in the broadcasting industry, and he made records of this information. He took this record called The Strangest Secret, which is a summary of the book, Think and Grow Rich. Right? So he was well known as an applicant, highly successful of applying the success principles that were in the book. All right, so Bob ended up in 1968, after having the business success that we described earlier, earning a lot of money. Okay, but he wanted to know why he was able to go from being highly unsuccessful to highly successful. So it became his passion to try to figure it out. So he aligned himself with Earl Nightingale and actually had an office next to his. Went to work for him so that he could study what Nightingale was studying and try to figure out why he was being successful. right? So Bob's passion became after he became financially successful and changed his life. He wanted to know what he did, and he spent the rest of his life. Well, it took him 9 years to figure out what happened, and we're going to talk about what happened today. But then he has spent the rest of his life teaching others what he did and how the success principles that he unraveled for himself. So we're going to be talking today about 3 steps to getting what you want. And the first concept that I'm going to talk about is you're an image maker and why that's important. And that is coming straight out of Bob's book, You Were Born Rich. And so we'll talk about that. We talk about the concept of to let go and let God. And then how to use the law of expectation in your favor. So those are 3 concepts that we're going to explore today on a very real and somewhat in-depth level. So you are an image maker. You and I think in pictures. Now, whether you believe that or not, you may say, well, yeah, that makes sense. But I want to show you how this works. I want you to close your eyes. If you're not, those of you who are on the call that are driving and listening to me, just imagine this. Don't close your eyes. We'll keep you safe. But if it's possible, close your eyes, and I want you to imagine what your refrigerator looks like. Okay, pretend that I asked you to close your eyes, and I'm going to ask you to tell me what it looks like. Right? So you close your eyes, and you form it. What did you do? You formed an image, because we think in pictures. And the way that you can describe what it looks like is you have to pull up an image on the screen of your mind. So we are an image maker. When we think of things, we think in pictures. Okay? So when I asked you what your refrigerator looked like, it either had, it was either black, silver, harvest, that old ugly harvest gold that we see. You're going to see that picture. You're going to see whether the doors are, if it's a freezer's on top or the bottom, or if they're side by side, or if it's one of them with the big freezer on the bottom. I mean, that's what you're going to see when you pull that up. And just remember that we think in pictures, and it works all the time. If I ask you what color your car is, you may be so familiar with it that you don't need to go to the picture. You just go, oh, my car's silver. But if I ask you to describe the wheels, what do the wheels look like? You're going to pull an image of it. And you're going to say, well, they're silver wheels, and they have those spokes on them. Or whatever it is. You're going to use a picture to go there. Now, when it comes to goals and living the life you desire and assuming success for yourself, or looking at the results you're getting, those results are a result of the image that you have when you think about what you want. So the results you're getting are the result of the image that you've become emotional about. It's what you believe is going to happen. Right? Now, this doesn't work some of the time. It works all of the time. So are you in control of what you're thinking? Are you thinking success? Are you thinking about what you want? Or are you thinking about what the outside circumstances are around you? For example, if it's money that you desire, are you thinking about the amount of money you want to have? Is that where your energy is going? Or are you thinking about what's on the bank statement when you opened up the app on your phone this morning? Okay, are you thinking that that's what's possible? Because if you focus on the way things are, you'll get more of the way things are. You've got to reprogram yourself to think about what you want, to the exclusion of everything else. And in the coaching programs and the work that I do, it's about helping you understand how to do that. Okay, and once I teach you how to do it, once Bob and I and the work that we do together shows you that, then it's up to you. You've got to apply it in your life, because I can't think for you. Okay, Bob can't think for me. We have to think for ourselves. But it's about awareness of how to think and what to think about and where to give our energy to. So how do you use this right now? You form the image of what you desire. You use your imagination to adjust it, to make sure that it is what you want. Okay, now imagination is a mental faculty that everyone has. Okay, I have imagination, you have imagination, my 4-year-old grandson has an imagination. And we all use it to different degrees. I mean, my grandson was over the other day, and he convinced me he was a fireman. He had his fireman pants on, and I asked him what he was doing. He says, "I'm getting ready to go put out a fire." Okay, so in his mind, when he's playing, he's using his imagination. But you and I, as adults, had the use of our imagination pounded out of us. Okay, through our education process. And our imagination muscle is weak, but you can strengthen it. It's still there. It's a tool that you have in your mind and in your consciousness. And I can teach you how to continue to use it, how to strengthen it, and to use your imagination to see the image that you want to create, to see what you want to have experience in your life. So how do you use this now? You get the image of what you want. You write down your goal on a piece of paper, and then you create the image of what that looks like for you. And then you use your imagination to strengthen the image, to tune it up, and then you use repetition to embed that. And I'm gonna go over what you're gonna do. You're gonna embed that in your subconscious mind, but I'm gonna explain why that is and why repetition is so important. All right. So quickly, in times of change, the learners will inherit the earth, while the learned will find themselves beautifully equipped to deal with a world that no longer exists. Right? We must learn how to unlearn what we've learned if we want to succeed. Okay, we've learned the wrong tools for success, and some of those tools that we have that we're using, they're outdated. In fact, they probably didn't work in the first place, and we call that a paradigm. Okay, it's a habitual way of thinking. It's the habit of how we deal with things or how we show up in life. So, if you want to be successful, you have to learn how to unlearn what you already know, and that's what we're going to talk about for the next 15 minutes. All right. Before I go into that, though, I want to talk about the second concept here. Is let go and let God. Now, I use God. I put God up there because I understand what God is. Now, if you're not, God is not real for you, or is not something that you focus on, call it whatever you want. There is something outside of yourself. There's an energy or a resource outside of you, okay? And you can name it whatever you want. But the concept is to let go and let that source help you. Okay, the source is a power that flows to, through, and around you. We're surrounded by energy. Okay, we want to accept it and use it in our favor. Now, how do you do that? Okay, how do you do that? The key to this is to become aware and to study and understand. Okay, what that is. You read books, you talk to people who are successful and see what they're doing, and they'll tell you that they're tapping into this energy that surrounds us. It flows to and through us, and we can use our consciousness to tap into it. And when you begin to understand that, you get the mustard seed of faith. Okay, and faith is the key here. It's an understanding that when you follow the rules and you're on track, you're giving energy to what you want, that what you want will show up. Okay. So faith allows us to let go of figuring out how to do something. Okay. We don't have to know how we're going to do something for it to manifest in our life. Okay. When the Wright brothers, who were the first first young men to put us in the air, when they were discovering the process of flight, they were really not focused on how they were going to do it. They were focused on that they wanted to do it. Okay? They had a goal. They had this vision of, they just believed that it was possible. Okay, now they didn't have to know how to believe. That sentence didn't come out right. They did not have to know how they were going to do it to believe that they could. Okay? That is faith. So the concept of letting go and letting God is to get the image on the screen of your mind. Focus on it to the exclusion of anything else. Like if you get an idea that it can't happen and you start getting the image of no money in your bank account, shift the image. Use your mental faculty of will to shift it back to the image of what you want. You don't have to know how it's going to happen. You just have to know that it will. So again, what's our job? How can you apply that today? Get the image of what you desire. Okay, that requires you to have a goal. Desire and goal, substitute whatever it is. What do you want in your life? Answer that question. Now, the people that I work with, clients that come to me, they don't know what they want. Okay, because the reason they don't know what they want is they think they've got this backwards. They think that they have to know how they're going to do it before they can want it. Again, that's not how it works. It starts with the image on the screen of your mind that you're willing to hold, that you're willing to use your persistence on it, get clarity of, and imagine that it's true. And then allow this energy that's around us to guide us to it, okay, to bring to you everything that you need, that you require to create it. It will come when you're ready for it, when you are in harmony with what you want. So how do you do it? You got to study and expand your faith through understanding. That's what Bob was doing when he was reading that book every day. That's what he's doing now when he's reading Think and Grow Rich every day. He's seeking understanding through study and persistence. That's how you do it. That's the how. Okay? It's the same for you as it was for him. Seek the answer to answer the question, who am I? Understand who you are and what you're capable of. Right? The summation of Bob's work over the past 50 years is a program called Thinking into Results. And this program contains everything you need to start your journey. Okay, it's a 6-month program that is designed to teach you how to use these tools. Okay, and in the process of applying these tools, you're going to have degrees of success. Some people who are willing to do everything that Bob and I tell them to do, they get to their success quicker. Those who allow themselves to be in resistance around it or are not ready to move as fast as they could move, the results will be slower coming. But they still, as long as the person is willing to do the work and understand the tools of success and begin to apply them, you can have anything you want in your life. So it goes back to it's time, right? 2 times 2 equals 4. You follow the rules, you get the result. If you don't follow the rules, your results are going to be mixed. And here's the most important thing. Impress the image on your subconscious mind with repetition. And I'm going to go through some slides that are going to introduce you to how that works. Okay, so 2 things you must know to create success. You got to know where you're at, okay? But most importantly, you got to know where you want to go. You got to have a goal. And the clients that I work with in Thinking into Results, the clients that Bob works with in his coaching program, the programs that I worked with Bob and Sandy on, the Matrix, one of Bob's major programs, it's all about getting a big goal. Because when you decide where you're going, that's going to be the driving force to get you to do what you need to do to get there. If your goal is not big enough, if it doesn't inspire you on some level, you're not going to want to go. You won't go through do the work and to learn and understand and expand your faith. You just won't do it. So you gotta have a big goal, right? And again, why are people stuck? If you think you're stuck on this call, here's why you're stuck. Okay, you have a goal, but you don't know where you're at. Okay, and where you're at is you don't understand why you're getting the results you're getting. Okay, and the reason you're where you're at is because of a concept called paradigms. Okay, paradigms are what are determining the results you're getting now. So what are paradigms? Quickly, and this is just, understand, this is just an introduction. Okay? If you'd never heard of the word paradigms before, we've moved you forward. Now you know you've heard the word before, but here's what they mean in the context we're talking about. Paradigms are a multitude of habits, but they're other people's habits. They're impressed upon you when you're very tiny. You know, they can come from generations beyond. They're carried in the genes, in our genetics. But they're also impressed upon you when you're 1 to 4 to 5, 6 years old. The environment that you're living in when you're that age will determine the majority of your paradigms. Okay, and if you're in an environment that supports success, you're going to have more of the success paradigms instilled in you. But everyone has limiting paradigms. So if you're not getting the results you want, it's okay. You're not any different than anyone else. It's just your programming that's keeping you from what you're getting, from getting what you want. Okay. So one thing to understand about paradigms: your paradigm determines what's logical for you, how you perceive things. Paradigms determine what makes you angry. Okay, it controls how you look at time, whether you allow yourself to use time as an ally or if time is an enemy. It controls your effectiveness, your productivity, and your ability to earn money. Okay? Now, most goals are set around money. Money kind of drives the world. It's not the most important thing, but it allows us to live the life that we want to live. It allows us to experience more of what we want. Okay, it's not a bad thing. Money's just energy. Okay? Your paradigms control your ability to earn money. All right, so again, here's another slide about paradigms. To ignore the power of paradigms to influence your judgment is to put yourself at risk when exploring your future. If you want to move to that goal, you got to understand what paradigms are, and you've got to understand what to do with them. And that's what this is about. That's what my life is about right now. It's helping people understand paradigms and what to do with them. Okay, so we're doing good on time. So I want to introduce a concept to you about the mind. If I asked you, as you're sitting there in your car or in front of your computer or at work, if I asked you to describe what the mind is, or tell me what the mind looks like, you're going to have difficulty doing that because the mind does not exist on the physical plane. Right? Our mind is a function. It's a movement. It's not a structure. Now you might have been inclined to say, well, my mind is my brain, and I've seen it back in science class. I've seen pictures of it on TV. In science class, they showed us a sheep brain and said, your brain kind of looks like that, kind of looks like a big piece of cauliflower. Okay? That's not your mind. That's the electrical switching station that is your brain. Now, your mind influences your brain. Okay? But your mind also influences all the other aspects of your body as well. And so I'm going to introduce this to you. In 1934, Thurman Fleet, he was a chiropractor. So I related very much to this. He was a chiropractor trying to teach people how to be healthy. Okay? And the premise of chiropractic is you don't look at the symptoms to try to discover how to be healthy. You recognize that the symptoms are just a reflection of some interference within the perfect functioning of the body. Okay, we must understand how the mind is interacting with the body in order to be healthy. And since someone has never seen the mind, he created an image to help us understand how this works. So here's the image you came up with, and we call this the secret genie or the stick person. So it's a, you know, it's a tennis. I use this description. It's a tennis ball size circle on top of a golf ball size circle connected with a line. And you kind of see it kind of looks like a human body. It's kind of like a stick person, right? But the emphasis on the mind is so much bigger. It's so much. The mind has so much more influence over what happens than the body that's why it looks out of proportion. Okay, the mind influences the body. The mind determines what the body does. Okay, but as we show up on the physical plane, obviously our body is bigger than what we conceive as our mind, as our head. Okay, so you got to just learn to use your imagination here a little bit. So we've got three aspects here that we're looking with. There's two aspects to the mind. There's the conscious mind and there's the subconscious mind. Okay. Now the conscious mind is made up of the thinking mind. It's where your thoughts evolve from. Okay. It's the educated mind. So all the things that you've learned, all those books you read, the study that you did when you were in school, it's in your conscious mind. It's where your intellect is housed. Okay, and we have mental faculties of creation that are in our mind as well. And it's our imagination is in our conscious mind. Our will, the ability to hold the image of what we want to the exclusion of all else, is a muscle of will that's in our conscious mind. But you also have reasoning. That's our thinking that's there. It's our intuition is there. Our ability to perceive things is there, and our memory is there. Those are all in our conscious mind, and they're our creative faculties. Okay, there's another aspect of the mind that's called the subconscious mind. Now, the subconscious mind is the emotional mind. It is what causes us to do what we do. So what's interesting here, if you look at this, the pathway to the subconscious mind is through the conscious mind. To get there, you got to go through the consciousness. Right? So let's go back to the conscious mind. We have the ability to choose our thoughts. Okay, we can choose what we think about. We can choose what we imagine. We can choose the image we want to bring up around our goal, and we can focus on that with our will. Okay, we can reject thoughts. Like we can hear on the news that the economy is bad, and we can either accept it or reject it. Right? We do not have to accept it. Okay, it does not have to be true for us unless we allow it to be that way. But most of us don't do that. We just, if the news said it, we allow it to go in, or we set ourselves up for failure by turning off our conscious mind and just allow things to get to the subconscious unfiltered. Okay, so key here is that you and I have a choice. We have a choice of what to think about. We have a choice of what thoughts we originate. Now, how is the subconscious mind different? Subconsciously, we must accept, meaning if we allow something to get to our subconscious mind, or if we choose the image of our goal and of what we want, and we focus on it with repetition, we are imprinting that on our subconscious mind. And when it's imprinted, it must accept it, meaning it does what it's programmed to do. It doesn't ask questions. It doesn't say, hey, do you really want this? It actually goes out and creates it. Okay, it must accept it. It cannot reject it. It can't say, no, that's not good for you. Okay, no, I'm going to protect you. Okay, it doesn't work that way. Your subconscious must do what you impress on it. What's important, what you're thinking about, because your thought, remember I said the pathway to your subconscious mind is through your thoughts. You want to become aware of what you're thinking about. Now, the subconscious mind cannot determine that which is real or imagined, which is a good thing because your imagination is in your conscious mind. We can choose to imagine the way we want things to be. Remember I talked about earlier, we talked about you and I are image makers. When we think in pictures. So if we think about our goal, we're going to be using our imagination because our goal, in theory, is something that's out there that we can't tangibly touch. But we can imagine the way we want it to be, whatever it is. And what we're finding is there is no limitation to what the subconscious can produce. Okay. This phone that I have here, this cell phone, came from the imagination of some person. Okay, that's where it was created. Right? Anything that you have in your house, chair came from the imagination of someone. Okay, and the subconscious went out and created the how to do it. Okay, now the body here is impacted by what is impressed on the subconscious mind. The body responds to the vibration and energy that comes from the subconscious mind. But let's talk about how this works in a little more detail. Remember, one of the factors in your consciousness is your reasoning. In your conscious mind, you can choose what you think about through what we think. Your reasoning and your thinking are kind of related. But if you're not thinking, you can embed the wrong idea in your subconscious mind. In fact, that's how you're programmed as a child. Okay, when you're an infant, your intellect is not developed. Your consciousness is not developed. It doesn't develop till you're 6 or 7 years old. So you're surrounded by your family. You're surrounded by other people who are impressing ideas directly onto your subconscious mind. Okay, you're seeing things on the newspaper, hearing things on the radio, and it's just through repetition. It just keeps going in there. Repetition is important. I want you to hear this, because when it comes to reprogramming yourself, you do it with repetition. Okay, but here you are as an infant. This is how you learn to speak. All right, you don't know that that it's difficult to learn how to speak a language. It just happens automatically because of the environment you're in. You're not telling yourself you can't do it. It just gets impressed there. Pretty soon you're starting to put words together. You're putting sentences together. Okay, that's how this works. That's how your mind works. That's how success and failure is created. But you want to understand the rules for achieving success so you turn the cards in your favor. Right? This is where your paradigm is housed. Remember, I was talking about paradigms a few minutes ago. Your paradigm becomes programmed into your subconscious mind. Your habitual way of thinking, your beliefs are in your subconscious mind. They control the vibration of your body. They control what you do. Everything your body responds to what's happening in your subconscious mind. So it's important that we understand the power of paradigms. Okay, and paradigms influence our judgment. Okay, and paradigms are going to determine your future, what you do with the paradigms. Okay, I just want to mention that, I said Thinking into Results is the program that we work with. It's set up to help you change paradigms, to teach you how to change paradigms. Now, the clients that I work with over a 6-month period, we're working on changing paradigms. Are we going to change every paradigm in those that is limiting or in that 6-month period? No, it doesn't work that way. What you do is we identify the most relevant paradigm or that you're having, and we change those. We teach you, we give you the tool for changing the paradigm, and you take that tool with you the rest of your life. Okay, that's actually in lesson 2 and 3 of Thinking into Results. But it starts with a goal. Remember, I said you got to have a goal. You got to know where you're going. Right. So in lesson 1 of Thinking into Results, it's about creating the goal, and getting a worthy goal, something that will inspire you to change the way you need to change. Now, here's an idea. I'm just inspired to say this. The purpose of a goal is to grow. Okay, to grow in awareness, to grow in understanding, to grow in shifting the limiting beliefs and behavior that you're undertaking. Okay? The purpose of the goal is not to get the goal. Okay, that's a shallow meaning, and most of the time, if we're just focused on getting the goal, and we don't understand really what we're going through as a process of change, then we probably will quit before we get there. Okay, the real fulfillment is becoming more and expanding your conscious awareness. That's the purpose. So the tools within thinking the results, and there's actually 12 of them. There's actually more of that. There's several in each of the lessons, but you can break it down into 12 things. It is to help you as you go on to the next goal. After you achieve your first goal, you're going to use what you're learning here because it's embedded in your subconscious mind. We're teaching you this material on a very deep level. You're just going to use it to go create the next goal, and it's just a one joyous, exciting adventure. So that's the quick intro about thinking into results. I actually forgot the slide was there. So it's all about the results you're getting. I call myself a results coach. That's how I frame myself. That's how I talk to people. I help you get the results that you want. So here's the third concept of what we were talking about, and it's called the law of expectation and how to use it in your favor. Remember I talked about the upper part of your conscious mind is where your intellect is housed. You can choose what you think about. So if you're choosing what you think about, you can choose what you expect. Okay? You can set the intention of what you want to create, and what you expect is what you get on a deep level. And that may shock you. You may say, I'm full of it. Yeah, you're crazy. But just study this and prove me wrong. And in the process of proving me wrong, trying to prove me wrong, you're going to learn that this is the truth, and your whole world will change. Okay? So the key is to expect what you want. Okay? Doubt is a habit. Doubt is a paradigm. We're programmed to doubt things, right? So just expect that things will work out. Because the opposite of doubt is faith. And remember, I believe we talked about, how you expand faith is through understanding. So you just believe that things are going to work out the way you want it to work out, and then seek to prove that right. Look for the evidence that you can have what you want. Because when you're on that side of the equation, remember the 2 + 2 = 4? When you're on that side of the equation, you're going to be connected with what you want. If you doubt that it's going to happen, you're going to create circumstances to prove yourself right, and you'll end up with what you don't want. Okay? There's power in expectation. It's actually a law. It's a law of cause and effect. Right? Your paradigm can be changed, and the limiting beliefs you have, the limiting habits you have can be changed, but you have to change it. I can't change it. Your husband or your wife can't change it. Okay? You have to do the work. And I say you have to. That's just programmed language. I prefer to think of it as you get to do the work. You get to do this. This is a skill that can allow you to have anything you want in your life. Okay? So be excited about it and expect it can change for you. Expect the results that you're getting can change for you because you understand that they're just they're just an outcropping of what you've been thinking. Your habitual way of thinking. You're becoming emotionally involved with the wrong idea. And your body's responding to that. And I emphasized it a little bit ago, you got to have a goal, a reason to change. Okay? So what is your goal? Just a question, you can answer it silently. Do you have a goal, and are you excited about your goal? So here's some closing thoughts and ideas, and I'm going to go through this quickly because I don't want to keep you over time. So the law of attraction is always working. We attract what we are in harmony with, and our paradigm determines what we are in harmony with. The law of attraction, here's a key point. The law of attraction, what you get in your life responds to your programming, responds to your paradigm. It doesn't respond to your goal, but you use your goal to change the paradigm. Okay? So you don't get what you want, you get what you are. You got to change what you are, which is your paradigm. That's exciting to me. Now, there's some people that would hear that and they would say, you don't get what you want, you get what you are, because their doubt is that they doubt that they can change. Okay, well, that's where they're going to live. Okay? just remember I said have an open mind. Here's some new concepts for you that I'm just introducing to you that you have the opportunity to learn more about. So if you're not getting the results you want, you must change your paradigm. This is all based on 7 natural laws. I teach the natural laws in my mentoring programs. Here's a key point. Right? I read a key point: law of attraction responds to your paradigm, not your goal. Here's another one: stop focusing on what's wrong with you. Remember the law of focus, we talked about it earlier. If you focus on what's wrong, what you think is wrong with you, you get more of that in your life, right? And what's wrong with you is an illusion anyway. There's nothing wrong with you. You're a pure perfection. It's just programming. Okay? It's not your fault. It's nobody's fault. It's just the way it is. The exciting thing is it can change, and you can have what you want. You got to do the work. All right, it's time. That's where we started here. It's time. Time for you. You have an opportunity to make a decision. You can get more information. You can get tapped into this information and start working with it. There's an opportunity to have a conversation with me if you'd like to learn more about this and what your specific paradigms are that are holding you back. In a 20 to 30 minute conversation, I can help you see what they are. Right? And then it's up to you. At that point, it's up to you if you want to get on the journey, get on the path and start moving. Okay, but it's time. It's time for you to have what you want. Okay, so this is my favorite quote. Bob gave me this slide a couple years ago because it just resonated with me. You know, what you fear doing, the cave you fear enter holds the treasure you seek. You know, you're sitting out there, oh my God, he's opened up some thought for me. He's got me thinking, right? But God, I don't know if this is for me. I don't know if he's talking to me. I don't know if this is true for me. And what if it's not true? What if I fail? Well, failure, just understand failure is a part of learning. Failure is how you're going to change your paradigm. If don't worry about that. If you're scared today after this conversation, after this webinar, if I got you a little stirred up, I encourage you to I'm going to give you an opportunity to schedule an appointment with me. Totally complimentary, just to have a conversation so you can get your questions answered and see where you're at in this process. Because I told you, this is what I'm passionate about. This is what I do. I absolutely love it. I feel like I've been given a gift. Right? I get to do this all day. And it's really exciting. All right. Remember the slide from earlier. Never change things by fighting the existing reality. To change something, build a new model that makes the existing model obsolete. Okay, here's some quickly. What do I do now? Decide what you want and write it down. Okay, if you have a goal, you have something you want, get it written down. Develop the image. Use your image maker to get the goal on the screen of your mind. Okay. If your pattern habit is to focus on what's wrong with you or the world or your environment, with the president, with people who want to be president, stop focusing on what's wrong. Start focusing on what's right. Focus on what you want. Okay, that's where the creative energy is. Right, and then what do you do now? Schedule a complimentary consultation with me. Okay, I'll introduce you to what I do. Introduce you to what a mentor does and how you can use it to progress. All right, and I put some contact information up there for you. My personal calendar, where you can just click it, you can see my appointments and make it real easy, is at bit.ly/book Edward. It'll just show up, and you can just put your name in there, and then I'll confirm the appointment and contact you. Or send me a question to resultscoach@outlook.com. My website, my Proctor Gallagher website, is acceptyourgreatness.me. All right, I want to thank you for being here today and opening yourself up to this new information. I hope it was valuable to you, and I hope that you use it. I hope that this wasn't just another hour of your day or an hour of your life that you spent. Okay, I introduced you to some really provocative things here, and I want to invite you to take advantage of them. Take action right now. Move forward. When you're moving forward, you're not moving the other direction. right? Have an amazing day, and again, thank you for joining me, and we'll talk to you on the next time around. Take care.